My brother, he's got this evil wife. See, she got into his head. See, my brother and me have had a great relationship since we've grown up. We've always been close like this. But I will say the last year, while I've been running my Michelin star restaurant, by the way, things have kind of lost track between us. But then he shows up one day demanding 20% of my restaurant because I owe it to him. Long story kinda short, he did help me get it started, but I'm talking years ago, and now I've grown it to a Michelin star restaurant. He doesn't deserve 20%. I'd give him back his initial loan, which was like $1,000, not much. But now his wife has him going crazy thinking that he deserves it. Well, let me tell you what she has to say. Hey guys, my name's Leonard. I'm 32. I own a very successful restaurant in Miami, which has been up and running for 7 years now, and it's gotten a lot of outstanding reviews, as well with talks of getting a Michelin star soon. But something has been happening recently in my personal life which is making it very difficult for me to manage the restaurant. My brother's wife wants a share in my restaurant after years of refusing to ever eat here, because it was recently featured in a news article, and now that she knows it's actually successful, she wants a part in it. And she's putting mine and my brother's relationship at stake in doing all of this. A little background for context. My brother, Dax, and I have always had a brilliant relationship since we were kids. He's 5 years older to me and has been extremely protective and supportive of me since I was a kid. I'd always wanted to pursue a career in the culinary arts, but my parents wanted me to go to law school. So, after doing law for like 2 years, I told him that I was miserable at my job and culinary was my passion. I was in such a bad state that I did not work for 4 months straight and barely even left the house. I doubt I would have even survived that part of my life if it were not for, him. He got me through it and told me that I've earned enough money to start my own restaurant. It was a very difficult thing, but I set out to do it. Dax helped me so much because he had more experience and contacts. It took us a year to start the restaurant, and in the first 6 months after it opened, it was extremely successful. And I've only had my brother to thank for it since he made me meet the right people and take the right step towards it. I was so grateful for him that I wanted to make him a 40% partner in the business, but he refused. He said he only helped me because I was his brother and that this was not his main line of work anyways, so he could not take the share. I requested him for years, but he never accepted. So just like that, the restaurant started to flourish even more. Dax got married 3 years after it started, to Kat. Our lives were good, but Kat always had these walls around her, man. She never came to the restaurant because every time I brought it up, she would just give some sort of excuse or the other. I always thought that maybe she did not think that it was important, but I was fine with it. About a month ago, there was an article in the newspaper about my restaurant and how it's in the talks to get a Michelin star. It drove a lot more traffic to the restaurant, and after reading it, Kat finally must have believed that it was a big deal. How I know this is because just a few days after this happened, my brother called me and started talking about the article and congratulating me. He always sounded very energetic and hyped, but there was some sort of hesitation in his voice, so I asked him, "What's up?" He then started talking about how when we started the restaurant, we could not even have imagined it would reach this level, and that if he would not have gotten me through this crisis, I would not have been here. I said that I agreed and that it's just as much as to celebrate as mine. Now, to this, he said something unexpected. He said that since he had somewhat equal parts in the success of it, he deserved 50% share of the restaurant. I was taken aback a little bit because this was the first time in 7 years that he mentioned anything about the share. I did not mind it, but it was a little strange, because knowing my brother, even when I practically begged him to take 40% share, he consistently denied it. But now, when he was doing even better than he was all those years ago, financially at least, and was well settled, he suddenly wanted the share? I told him I would think about it, and, well, the call ended on a very weird note. I knew something was odd about it, so I called his wife Kat to ask if they've been struggling financially, because Dax had asked me for 50% share. She got so offended and started saying, how dare I assume they were struggling. They've never been better when it came to money, and that Dax had asked for his share because he duly deserved it. After he helped me so much, and she kept going on and on about it. She was so defensive. which was really not needed because I would have happily given him the share. But I just wanted to make sure all was okay, so I asked her, well, why now, after 7 years? And she said, do you want to take the full credit for your Michelin star? She also said that Dax was very upset since his eyes were now open to how I exploited him to open the restaurant, and then reaped all the benefits myself. The moment she said that, it all just clicked in my mind. She was the one filling his head with this BS because these were not Dax's words. He did not even talk this brutally about his teenage bully or anyone for that matter. He was the farthest thing from what she was painting him to be. She must have seen the article and then influenced him to ask me for a share, because the restaurant is successful. I would gladly give him even half the share with open arms, but now that I know his greed of the wife he has, I could not because she was influencing him to misuse it and put us in danger. She had done this on multiple occasions, forced Dax to make the decision that he would not have made himself, since they were financially irresponsible. But I don't know how she's always managed to manipulate him. I simply could not give him the share because I would be practically giving it to Kat. I was angry because of how cunning and greedy she is. She did not even take my business seriously for years and have never even visited it once. But now she wanted to piggyback on my hard work. Well, I cut the call in anger and told her that she should stop filling Dax's head with so much crap and not be so dang greedy. And you won't believe it, the next day she literally showed up at my house and started saying how I was such an ungrateful brother because even after he had helped me set it all up, I didn't want to give him his due credit. I screamed at her and said that it was my restaurant, and I was the one who understood its finances and shares the best, and she could not just come here and dictate my decision. I could not straight up tell her the real reason because she could even manipulate that and say something to my brother, ruining things further. Well, for the next few weeks, I practically felt harassed because she showed up at my house 12 times to cause all this drama, which is why my brother also kept calling me about the same thing, and it broke my heart to keep saying no to him all because of his wife. I did not want him to feel that I was ungrateful or I was sidelined, but I could also not tell him the real reason. Kat is putting me in such an ugly position and it's really stressing me out. I've been stressed for weeks because I'm not able to get rid of this crap. I can feel my relationship with my brother also getting tainted because even though he would never say it to my face as he's so protective of me, there have been slight changes in his behavior which clearly show that he's disappointed in me. I would love to give him the share, but I cannot have his wife involved in this, which I know she inevitably will be. I really need you guys to help me out, please. I can't let this affect my relationship with my brother, I really can't. Update number 1. Hey guys, I think it's been a month since I last wrote to you. I was not expecting so many people to pitch in with their suggestions. This is a very kind community. Some of you also thanked me for the success of my restaurant. Well, thank you. And to all the people saying I've become greedy and that's why I don't want to give him the share, what I'm about to tell you in this update is going to answer all of your questions and false speculation. It was my birthday last month, and like every year I was celebrating at Leo's, the name of my restaurant, by giving away free drinks for the evening. All of my friends and family were there, but I was completely heartbroken when Dax did not show. Last year, he had literally surprised me with a trip to Fiji for my birthday. He had always done something grand for it since we were kids, and this year he did not even show up. I can't even begin to explain what this did to me. My brother is the closest person in my life, and he did not show up to my birthday all because of the wife's greed and plotting that had affected our relationship so severely? See, we've been in some fights before, but it was never this drastic in the entire 33 years of my life. My parents and friends tried to cheer me up, and I pretended to be normal with them, but I was not. I was at my rock bottom and realized just how bad things were with my brother. So the next day, I went to his house and signed off 20% of the restaurant shares to him, and told him that I could not let something so petty come in the way of our family. Well, he started to cry and hugged me and apologized to me for having missed my birthday, and said that he was in such disbelief thinking I've become greedy and selfish, and that he did not raise me to be like that. Long story short, we were back to normal. But I was still very unhappy because Kat had succeeded, and I was also a little stressed anticipating her next move, because I was so damn sure that she had a whole elaborate plan. In the next few weeks, I got really busy since it's a tourist season right now. And then, weeks later, a few days back, Dax came to visit me at my home. He looked really distressed and also a little angry. He told me that Kat was asking him to transfer his shares to her, claiming that she was the reason Dax had gotten the shares in the first place, so he owed her this. And since the ownership transfer would take place within the house itself, it won't make any difference. Well, guys, to my surprise, Dax talked back. He told her that she was being ridiculous and that she could not possibly need the share because literally all her expenses were paid for by him. It was completely pointless and senseless for her to have those shares, since she did not even want to visit Leo's. She tried to reel him into some more crap about how she did not own any assets and that she really wanted to visit, but she never had the time. Well, this made Dax mad, and he said that she was just giving baseless arguments and that this was not going to happen. So, the more Dax told me about this incident, all the more it boiled my blood. The audacity. I never have the time, really. Ugh, valuable work she is, all the stuff she's doing other than spending my brother's money that she can't show up to a restaurant? How dare she even think that she was capable of owning even a minuscule part of Leo's share, let alone the whole 20%? I can't even tell you what I felt at the moment. And if this was not enough to completely derail my temper, Dax then told me something else. After he denied her multiple times, she said to him that if he did not give her the share, she would divorce him. You guys, he literally teared up as he told me this. He said that he just felt like she was only with him for money and that all of our marriage was worth to her was this 20% share. It broke my heart to see him like that, guys. It really, really did. He's an angel and he's the last person in the world who deserves to feel like this. I was blindly enraged at Kat at the moment. I wanted to smack her for putting Dax through this all because she was a good-for-nothing greedy trophy wife. He looked so helpless like a little kid, and I hugged him and consoled him as much as I could, but Kat has now put us both in a very difficult conundrum. I have to do something about this. I can't just let her win and ruin everything. I don't know how I will help my brother yet, but Kat is for sure going to pay for this, and I hope all the people saying Leonard is greedy have now gotten their answer. I'll update you guys once I deal with her. Update number 2. Oh my gosh, guys, I'm sorry. I literally forgot all about this for a while. Yeah, I know. It's been 3 months and my life has been extremely packed because so many changes have happened. You won't even been able to guess what all of this has gone down with Kat and what I did to get back at her. It is one hell of a development. Almost 3 months back, Kat had asked Dax to give her the shares, and he was really depressed and anxious because she was always on his back, pestering and blackmailing him. It was really toxic. He could neither deny her the shares nor give them to her because her intentions were very, very clear. He was basically helpless in the situation, so I had to step in and do something about it, baby. Since the restaurant she was fighting about was mine, I could still control her intentions and somehow manipulate her out of it. I had to just figure out a way to use my cards right. Dax had started visiting Leo and my house a lot because he used to be stressed at work, and even more stressed at home and needed some place of respite. He started telling me how Kat had even gotten her family to pressure him now, and that they were all giving baseless reasons as to why he should do it, saying things like even though they wanted to marry their daughter to a Catholic family, they gave in and let her marry Dax even though he was not Catholic, all because she was in love with him, and he showed great potential of taking care of her. This was all sounding such BS to me, honestly, because I don't know about Dax, but I strongly believe that she only married him for the money and his beach house in Miami. But what I did not know was that she was Catholic. I asked Dax more about it, and he told me that she was a pure Catholic, and very, very serious about her faith, apparently. You guys, she even went to church every Sunday, and was a very prominent part of the community, which is why she really despised how everyone was so open to their sexuality in Miami, whether gay or whatever. It was one of the things Dax hated about her, absolutely hated. I went home that day as I was about to fall asleep. I came up with this crazy plan, unbelievable idea to get back at Kat and keep her from having the shares in a way that she can't pester my brother about it. The moment it came to my mind, I was actually wide awake. And even though it was an extremely elaborate plan, I did not, care about it that much, if I'm being honest with you. Well, I had seen a few articles about how restaurants and bars in Miami were not very inclusive of the community of LGBTQ, and that there were not many places where they felt safe or relaxed enough to have a good time. So I guess I might have been subconsciously thinking about this, but at the moment it all became crystal clear. I would convert Leo's into a LGBTQ plus bar restaurant, and not only would it make people feel comfortable and relaxed, but it would also take Kat off the radar, since if he showed even 1% of the restaurant, her church would disown her. I don't know what I was most excited about, the fact that I was about to do something revolutionary for the community, or that I was about to hit Kat with such a huge shock that she would never ever have seen it coming in the worst dreams. She thought that she could mess with me and have it all her way. Well, this isn't McDonald's. I don't want Kat to think that he was in on it with me and then blame him for it further. I called my investors the next day and they loved the idea. The restaurant needed some renovation before we could announce the new look. So we started with the theme immediately, with interior designers hiring all new LGBTQ staff and 1,000 other things. Guys, it opened in almost 2 days, and I can't wait. Do you think that I should invite Kat, or would that be too on the face? LOL, I'll keep you updated. Update number 3. Hey guys, I'm back after 2 weeks, and it did not take too long to write an update this time. Although I think this might be my last update because things took kind of an unexpected turn. Don't worry though, everything is fine, but the last 2 weeks have been pretty topsy-turvy, LOL. So, on the day of the reopening of Leo's, I had invited both Dax and Kat, and I'm sure that she must have thought I was going to surprise her with something that she wanted, which is why it was just so much more fun to see what happened next. Dax had no idea what was happening. I had just told him that we had renovated it. When I cut the ribbon and we entered inside, the entire look of the place completely changed. Dax was extremely surprised and absolutely delighted to see all of the changes, and all the people who were there and all. I got so many complaints that day because the place was entirely, spectacular. As far as Kate was concerned, she had never even visited, so it was all the same to her, so she was just smiling widely and clapping along with everyone else. She was just anticipating for me to announce something grand like, here goes 40% of my shares, all to Kat. Yeah, or something like that. Makes me laugh just thinking about it, but anyways. I got up on stage and we had newly built and started my speech and announced that Leo was no longer just a restaurant, but an LGBTQ club, bar, restaurant, with multiple floors where people could not just eat, drink, and dance, but also indulge in recreational activities with like-minded people. One floor was dedicated to artists in the community, where they could organize galleries and exhibitions under the brand of Leo's. That's right. My brother, he was blown away. He was so surprised that he actually burst out crying and ran up to hug me on stage. Every single person who was in attendance was hooting and hollering and clapping and screaming kudos. And so many other supportive things, it was bliss. And then there was Kat. Oh yeah. Glum as a bruised peach, the wide smile on her face had converted to a frown. She just stood there frozen with this strange look of anger. The relaunch party ended and it went great and we got so much publicity. After it was over, I wanted to stay back to clean up. As a tradition, when we started the restaurant, I used to clean each day since we did not hire a full staff yet. So I continued the tradition every year on the anniversary. Dax wanted to stay and help me with it, so naturally Kat did not have an option but to do the same. She was visibly brimming with anger. I was inside the kitchen, and when I was about to come out, I heard her yelling at my brother, saying why did he not tell her, and that if her church finds out she owns the shares of this restaurant, they will disown her for it. And my brother said, well, good thing you don't own the shares then. Oh, that's made her mad even more. And she kept saying, why did he not tell her? And he said that he did not know himself, and that since I was the major shareholder and all the investors had sanctioned it, he literally could not do a thing about it. I was extremely satisfied listening to all this because of all the pieces of my plan literally falling into place. I got out of the kitchen and she went insanely silent, just abruptly quiet. Dax hugged and congratulated me again and said it was time for them to go home. He went out to pull the car around and Kat stood there waiting, and the moment he left she started screaming at me. Nothing I had not expected. Ugh. See, she said that she knew why I had done all this and she was not naive to my sick plan. I told her that I had no idea what she was talking about and that not everything in the world was about her. She must have felt helpless, so she ran up towards me very aggressively and attacked me. She hit me in the head with her fist and kept hitting me until some waiters came and got her off me. I screamed at the extreme top of my lungs and told her that if she ever steps foot inside of this restaurant again, or even dared to ask my brother for shares or anything remotely related to Leo's again, I would just report her to the police in words. I would tell Dax that she attacked me brutally, and he was so protected of me that he would divorce her in an instant. She broke down, crying. I did not care for it in the least. I told her that if she did not get her act together and be a good partner to him, it would only take me one sentence to ruin her entire, luxurious life that Dax had provided for her. I asked her to clean her face and go to the car normally. Well, she left that day. This was 2 weeks ago, and she has caused no further drama in Dax's life, and neither will she dare to know. Anyways, my plan was airtight anywho, and she only solidified it even more by attacking me. Well, so that's it. Kat has failed to take even a single penny from me, and things are back to somewhat normal. My restaurant has received a huge amount of great reviews since we reopened, and shows great promise for the future. I'm just glad to have this community for my support. You guys have been incredible.